Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm finally purging my flowers. It's been forever. I think I've shown you in previous vlogs. I didn't take a before picture, which was kind of dumb, but we're just going to start off. I'm just going to work at my bed, which I find easier. Bring all the baskets in. If you've been around for a while, you know that there's always like a basket of seasonal flowers that sits behind me that I can get access easily, but I'm finally going through all of that as well. Just putting everything in its place, only keeping what I can store. Anything extra is going to be given away. So stay tuned. I hope you enjoy. And I hope these are inspiring you guys if you're dealing with some stuff. And even if you're not, maybe just helps you to decide to go through your things. So thanks for joining me. Bye. So I've talked about this in previous videos that because of my physical limitations, it is more difficult for me to get up and down constantly. It's actually a little easier for me to walk distances than it is for me to sit up and down. So for that, we are going to do this process of I bring all of the florals. I have the big white bucket that sits behind me in my office. That is really left over since the spring and summer flowers because of my terrible autumn. But we're going to bring that big bucket in plus the 5 red baskets. These baskets are all from the Dollar Tree. Most of these flowers and greenery from the Dollar Tree I do have. A handful that came from Walmart. If you guys don't know, a lot of times Walmart flowers could be cheaper and sometimes the quality is better depending on the particular flower. And then they have things that you can't always find at the Dollar Tree. So like lamb's ear. We love lamb's ear. It's very soft. It's very farmhousey. It carries from spring through to Christmas even. And it's not available at the Dollar Tree yet. I like to say that because I'm always hopeful. And it's basically 2 bunches for $2 at Walmart. So it's along the same price lines. But Walmart has seasonal flowers for starting at 97 cents. They have some plastic greenery and some other greenery starting at 97 cents. So they do have things that are on par. But most, I'm going to say probably over 90% of my florals are from the Dollar Tree. Now I do have some, I didn't share this video with you, but a year ago my sister Julie came to visit from Las Vegas with my sister Jane, and she brought me, she had gone previously to Michael's to do the grab bag boxes, and I had a bunch of florals from her, but I gifted many of them away, plus I'm going to give the rest away here, what I didn't use already, because I did use some already previously. So just bear with me. The bringing in of the baskets pretty much. This just decided that this was a sit in front of the TV, sit in my bed and sit in front of the TV with my coffee kind of a project. So sometimes we just have to do that and give yourself a little bit of grace. Make sure you go to the bathroom before you sit down because you might be trapped for a little bit. It is also helpful to have an assistant or at least somebody who can help you in case you need it. One thing that I haven't really shared with you much, I think I just shared it on a couple of videos. I never really did a hack video, is for all of these long stemmed flowers, I have some from the Dollar General, just 2 or 3, but most of these are from the Dollar Tree. I have an IKEA plastic bag holder. So IKEA makes these plastic bag holders that a lot of people on Pinterest use to hold their Cricut vinyl, but it really is to hold like shopping bags, and you can like pull them back out again. But I love them because they're nice and long. They are airy and holy in case you need to poke some stems back out the bottom. But they are tall, so they hold the stemmed flowers, the long stem flowers, perfectly. It comes with sticky back, like double sticky foam, and it is stuck to the side of the black cabinet where I have all the flowers. So you'll see me when I put them away, but I don't know that I mentioned that previously to everybody, so not everybody knows that. So just I don't want to call it a hack, but that's just how I store them. Now, I have decided the method that I'm going with is seasonal color and fillers. So what I mean by that is the color portion is really the white. we have a lot of white flowers, but we also have a lot of white filler. We have a lot of greenery, but we also have like the purple and white filler as well. So it's like we're going to have a basket of white when it's all said and done, and a basket of greenery and filler, and then we're going to divide the other holidays amongst the other seasons, amongst the other baskets. I think I've mentioned this before. My autumn is out of hand. There's a lot of reasons. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But just to give you guys some encouragement, it is a process. Give yourself permission to take breaks. Give yourself permission to work at your pace. Give yourself permission to purge, but to save if you feel like you need to. Because you think about this, I am trying to be as generous as I can with my with the things that I'm purging. However, like these things cost me money, and I'm not that I don't want to ever think like I'm greedy, but I usually am pretty purposeful with my spending. So I don't usually buy something that I can't foresee where I'm going to use it, or how I could use it, or if it's a gift for somebody, then that's different. So there is that like mental block of growing up poor that you need to save things in case the money runs dry again. But I've decided that with all of the things, the changes that have happened in 2020, that I am going to live my life differently. I am going to start or return to putting my faith entirely in God's hands. And I don't mean I'm just going to leave it to His whim. Obviously, He gives us free will for a reason. But I'm going to stop worrying about what may happen tomorrow, or what may happen in the future. I'm going to start relying on Him and my faith in Him and my power as a daughter of Christ to live my life the best way that I know how. So I'm not going to worry about if I don't have money tomorrow. Of course, I'm going to prepare to try to not have no money tomorrow, but double negative. I'm going to prepare to have money tomorrow, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. I'm not going to let that fear of tomorrow hold me back from living today. I do love the feedback that I get from my friends who I donate these things to, the low-income apartments that they live in, for people who are on disability and who have mental issues. I love the feedback that I get from them, that their friends and their floor mates and their housemates all have been loving getting these craft items. So that itself is just perfect reason. That fills my heart, which is more important than filling my pockets or filling my buckets. There is way more purging to still happen in this craft room, in this life. But right now, we're just going to focus on basically one job at a time. Okay? So now I'm trying to gather up the spring. I kind of put all of the white into the white bucket that used to sit behind me. It had mostly white in it already. I just pulled out the greens and I pulled out the pinks. And now I'm trying to make the spring section. Basically, it's my spring bouquet of flowers. There's pinks. There's different spring flowers that are spring specific, like tulips and crocuses. They're flowers that you correlate with being spring because that's when they bloom. So there's not only just coloring, but there's also that seasonal sort of type of thing. That seasonal sort of type of thing. Sure. I don't write a script. Oh, now greenery is probably I don't want to say my biggest headache, but it's really the part where I have like the hardest time purging. And here's why. I love to keep my leaves. So many projects that we do, we just pull off the blossoms off of this, like basically off the stem, and we just use the blossoms, and we're left with the stems that are full of leaves. And those are really good for other projects. We've made so many wreaths on our channel that have just been the greenery left over from old flowers. In fact, I think our wreath, our hula hoop wreath, was one of those that we just used all different greeneries from all, like leftover from all different flower bouquets. So not wanting to hold on to that, that's kind of difficult for me still, because I still see a need for it, or a reason where a way I could use it. But again, the prettier greens have been coming out at the store. They're much more realistic looking. They're much more in style with today's look, a little better than the other ones. So if I need to, it's time to let those ones go. And again, let them be a blessing onto someone else. I also kept quite a few of the wiry flower bunches, basically the wire stems that you get that are bunched together. If I take off the leaves and the blossoms, there are a couple of different things you can use those stems for. One of you reached out to me and shared with me that you use those to hold down your gluing items when you're hot gluing something so you don't burn your fingers. She uses the stems. It's a heavy gauge wire, so you can use it for tendrils if you wanted to twist it up. But what I like to do is I like to make my own picks at Christmas time. I have a video on my channel in the Christmas DIY playlist where we made picks. We also made picks for autumn. Basically, we just took the bag of assorted leaves and we glued them to the stems that was there. So you can upcycle and recycle and use these things in many ways. And of course, I want to remind you that I just want to keep one basket for each kind of thing. So I have greeneries. I have greeneries that I want to call my A-list greeneries, my B-list greeneries, my C-list greeneries. If my A and B-list greeneries fill up that basket, the C ones have got to go. So you just want to prioritize the things that you like, by which you could use, maybe what costs the most, or maybe what's the best quality. However you want to prioritize it, that's what you want to do. You want to be able to say, I just have one basket for greenery, and once I filled that up, everything else has to go. Okay? And it's hard. Trust me, I know. I know. Now, there is some flowers that cross over. So, Dollar Tree has these things that are called wild flowers, or spring bunches. And they're like part lavender, some sort of like maybe like lamb's ear types of leaves, and maybe some little yellow daisy or forget-me-not type of flowers. So you have to decide, where do you want to keep those? Because the blossoms are so small, I like to keep them with my fillers, basically with my greenery, because they're like accent flowers. I just wanted to tell you, I know I have a problem. So no doubt. I'm sure many of you are like this. The thing is, with florals, if we make an arrangement, we don't leave the arrangement permanent, we don't glue things in, then we can take them back out again, then we constantly don't really like use certain florals. 2 years ago, I don't know if you guys followed my channel for that long, I did a floral mantle, so I needed like extra florals. So my autumn is a little bit out of control, but we're going to wrangle it. I actually have 3 baskets to divide them into. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on that real quick. I think I'll turn the camera on for that process. What I've done so far is I've created a spring basket, a greenery basket, and then this all white flowers, because like we use white as accents. I think one of the white baskets, one of the red baskets is going to turn into white flowers, and then I'm going to divide all of the autumn into 2. I have a whole pile on the floor that I'm getting rid of. Plus, I still haven't purged autumn yet. So I just wanted to jump on here, and I'm sorry I look like who did it and ran, but I wanted to jump on here to just let you guys, like, give you some encouragement. If you have the space for it and you feel like you really need to keep it, then keep it. But be a blessing onto others if you need to. Be a blessing onto others if you want to. If you're just done with it, if you're just like, I've had it. If I look at something and I'm like, I'll never use that again, that came from an obscure store, I will never use that, then go ahead and get rid of it. But if you love it still, I mean, I don't want to be like, if it sparks joy, but if you love it and you know that you'll use it someday, and you're looking forward to using it someday, you know, You can just grab a bunch of these and put them into a vase, and then you're done for a centerpiece. Or you don't need to be a florist to love flowers, and you don't need to have real flowers to display them in your home. So it's a great light. Oh, there we go. Hi, I'm normal now. Okay, let's go. Ah, autumn, the moment I've been waiting for. I really am mad that I can't find this before picture because the autumn explosion was happening. The basket that is the first one closest to the door just had autumn, just kept getting added to it and added to it and added to it. And it was almost as tall as the ceiling. It needed to really get taken care of. So now that we've decided that we're going to break autumn up into two baskets, because autumn is a season that does use a lot of florals that we like. There's a lot of florals come out. I know you know this. Usually there's a rack outside your store, a rack inside the store, and plus the whole wall on the store. Autumn has given spring a run for its money. Let's just say that. Maybe it's just for me. Maybe I just like autumn the best. I don't know. But anyway, between the sunflowers and then they have burlap sunflowers, and then they have hydrangea that are in autumn colors, and then they have cattails and all of these different things that are just so beautiful and gorgeous. We're just going to decide again, what are we going to keep? What are we going to get rid of? Do we need the leaves? Do we need to keep the bunches of leaves? Do we have bags of leaves in the autumn bucket for crafting? Like, we have to decide what it is that we want to do, what we want to keep and what we want to get rid of, because really it's gotten way out of hand. Now I do have some ones that I'm got from, I think they were from Walmart or they were from the Dollar General, and they're kind of like, I want to say I kind of used them up, if you know what I mean. I mean, they're still probably good for someone else to use, but for me, I'm done with them. Like and not that they're bad looking. I'm finished with them. I've used them in so many projects that I'm done with them, that kind of thing. So that was easy. That was an easy purge to just decide to do that. Then it's just a matter of organizing them. Now, what I like to do is I like to keep like flowers together in a bucket if possible. So I like to keep my hydrangea in like one corner perhaps, and then my daisies or sunflowers in another one, my gerbers or gerbers, however you say it, in the other corner. Sorry, I love Calendar Girls, the movie Calendar Girls, and oh goodness, I just forgot her first name. I'm gonna get fired. Oh, Julie Waters, thank you. Julie Waters was like, do you say Gerbera or Gerbera? I can never remember. So every time I see the word, I'm like, is it Gerbera or Gerbera? I can never remember. Anyway, I digress. That's a story within a story. But then I like to try to keep the rust colors together. So if I had 3 bunches of rust color hydrangea, I like to keep them together next to the 3 bunches of beige colored hydrangea, and so on and so forth. I love hydrangea. I put hydrangea in my wedding flowers, my wedding bouquet that I still have. I grew hydrangeas in every home that I ever had or lived in, or place that I ever lived in, because, yeah. It's just one of those flowers that look just as pretty dead as they do alive. That's why I like them. So when it comes to this type of thing, if you have room in your like seasonal decor box, instead of just keeping your flowers separate, you could go ahead and do that as well. You know, I used to, when I had a much smaller amount of flowers, I would keep, actually, I had a box that was just florals and it had a box of just flowers in it, but then it turned out to grow and expand. But if you have seasonal flowers that are just like, you have one bouquet of Americana flowers, then go ahead and keep it with your Americana decor. You don't have to necessarily do this, but obviously we have much more than that. So we're dividing it like this. If you don't want to have your flowers on display, you don't have to. I just find it's very feminine and delicate and happy. Flowers make me happy. They inspire creativity to me. So having them on display while I work, where I can look over and be inspired, or I can look over and get an idea, or I can look over and see, maybe I'm doing a project and I'm like, this could really use some greenery. And I look over and I see Perhaps some eucalyptus that I had from Walmart, or some of the wildflowers from the Dollar Tree. And I say, oh, there you go. That would be perfect. And I can reach over and grab it and then add it to the project. And, you never know when you're just going to be able to look over and see it. But they're pretty on display. That's the thing. So sometimes we display items, and I mean, unless you're in love with your Cricut vinyl, having your Cricut vinyl on display is really just about convenience. It's not about aesthetics. I mean, putting in a rainbow order is about aesthetics, but putting it on display is really about convenience. But putting flowers on display, putting your flower storage out, I think I think it's just so worth it. I'm much happier to give up the real estate on the top of this cabinet to hold these 5 buckets of flowers than I am worried about how much room they're taking up, if that makes any sense. Now, in the future, I will be mindful, one in, one out, or one in and use it. That's part of it too. If you have one in, got to use it. But if not, again, forgive yourself, allow yourself some grace, allow yourself some breathing room, and be kind to yourself. We've talked a lot on this channel about, people have asked me about like my self-esteem. People ask me about the courage that I might have, or how brave I am to do what I do, or to step outside, or to be vulnerable, or to share myself. To be honest with you, the only way I know how to be is me. And I learned a while ago, and I won't say a long, long time ago, but in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't all that long ago. But I guess now that I'm 50, maybe it was. Treat yourself like you would treat your best friend. If you weren't going to tell your best friend that she looks fat, and like today you're looking bloated today, then don't tell that to yourself. If you would never tell your best friend that you look like you could lose 20 pounds, then don't say it to yourself. If you don't feel well and you want to lose weight, that's a different story. If you don't feel comfortable in your own skin and you think losing weight will help, that is a different story. But don't speak to yourself any harsher than you would speak to your best friend. That's just a good life lesson to learn from me to you. Okay? Now, if you're going to do this while you're watching TV and filming yourself, don't put on a really interesting show that you keep getting distracted by. Because obviously, I keep getting distracted by the television. But it was a good movie. I have, side note, side story, I have my movies that I like to call my sunflower movies that I love. It is Calendar Girls, Under the Tuscan Sun, and The Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood. The two of them actually revolve more around the sunflower. The Divine Secrets basically just has a sunflower on the cover. And it kind of like, they just remind me of females just winning their power back almost. Or taking charge of their lives if they're a wreck, and they can come out of it on the other side bright and shiny. That's what those movies remind me of, and I think that they're really good movies. Even if you don't have a best friend to watch them with, they're really great movies just to watch for some encouragement. Okay. Soapbox, I'm off. So I'm with the flowers that I don't have a lot of variety of. So I don't have like a ton of sort of like these mum type things. What I want to do is I want to bouquet all of those together. I want to put the misfit. Thank you. I want to put the misfit. I don't know why I keep saying thank you. You guys aren't helping me. The misfit flowers, I like to keep them together as well too, because you never know when one of those is going to be needed elsewhere. Okay. Now, all in all, so far, we've given away and purged truckloads. I'm going to say my van loads, I should say, not truckloads, but I think every time we do a purge, there's roughly 2 13-gallon bags full of stuff, plus possibly. So each season, each event, there are some times where I'll do like a big purge where I'll give like a 1.5 13-gallon bags, and then a couple of days later I'll finish and I'll have another half of a 13-gallon bag. But overall, I think like each season I purge like two 13-gallon garbage bags. And I enjoy it. I enjoy knowing that someone else is going to be able to use things that are just sitting in my house. Now that I'm done filling the baskets, I have like random things around me. There's a couple of picks that really should be in the box with the like the DIY stuff, because picks don't really sit in the basket very well. But I'm going to go ahead and gather them up and probably stick them in the front of the basket. If they have clips on them, you can always clip them onto where the holes are in the front of the basket. The way also these baskets, if you don't know, do stack when they're not things popping out of the top. But they're rectangles. So I like to put obviously the short side towards the front so more can fit across. Because this, as far as the cabinet's concerned, I have more depth than I have width. Well, that's not true, but you know what I mean. I can fit 5 across when they're faced towards me. Okay. So now I'm just collecting up all of the misfits we were talking about a few minutes ago, trying to decide what can stay, what can go. I realize these pumpkins are kind of long and probably need to be in that other long storage. But I'm going to stick them in here until we go back into the room. Nope, they fit. Never mind. So after all is said and done, then we're going to get up and put the flowers back in the office. But first thing you have to do whenever you do reorganizing or purging or whatever it is, we have to clean. So take the opportunity, because everything is off there, to go through some decor. I have some old decor up there that used to be hanging in front of the boxes, but we didn't put it back up when we got the new boxes from IKEA. And then take the opportunity to wipe down, dust, really, again, purge whatever decor you're not going to use, and to fix whatever's going to go back. Because there's no point in doing all of this and just to like forget to dust and clean. Take the opportunity, since all the stuff's there, to get rid of it, just to go ahead and reorganize, clean, say you did it, say it's done. End of story. What I'm using here is a allergy reducing end dust. Seems to work pretty good. I am a wet dust school person. I'm not a dry dust school person. To me, that always just made my allergies worse, kicking dust back up in the air. But here's that IKEA garbage bag holder I was telling you about, how I have it stuck to the side of the desk with all the long flowers. And now we're just going to go ahead and get all the baskets and start putting everything away. Now I'm pretty much going to keep the same order. I had autumn, and then I had spring, and then I had my whites, and I had my greeneries and filler on the end. So I'm pretty much going to keep that same order, just because it helps me visually. Like, I know when to look for when I can see it up there. I'm like, they're not going to fit. What's going on? But I see what's happening. I see what's happening. One more basket's just going to squeeze in there. There we go. I have to make sure they're all straight and they all fit. And then what I have in the front here is these little mason jar twinkle light things that I made when Eden was getting married. So that's a farmhouse DIY from way back. Basically the little Dollar Tree mason jars that you used to get 2 for $1. And I poked holes in all the top of them, and we strung fairy lights in there, and then tied the one that they called the lace ribbon, but it was like that crochet stuff between each one. And I've had it sitting on there in front of there for a long time. So I really like it. And then what I have left over is my Christmas stuff that I had pulled out that actually does fit in the spring bucket with the spring items. That's why the spring bucket is kind of thin. But I figured since Christmas is here, we're going to go ahead and leave them out. So that's it. That was it, everybody. I hope you really enjoyed this. This is how it looks all finished. There's the thing I was talking about from IKEA. It works out really, really good in my space. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and do the sharing and the liking and all the things. And as always, you guys take care. God bless. And we'll see you next time. Bye.